The name Bob Fosse doesn't mean much to a lot of people, but he worked on some of the most revolutionary musical films of the time, weaving stories and music in a way that felt natural and flowed seamlessly. His film Cabaret draws on his experiences as a stage director to create a film that combines the best of Broadway with the best of Hollywood, which he then takes to Broadway when he directs the musical Chicago. And All That Jazz is loosely based on his time directing Chicago on Broadway, taking the musical film formula and twisting it to create something meta in relation to his work. Although Bob Fosse isn't a household name, what he worked on has been greatly influential and fairly well known in pop culture. In this video, I'm going to explore some of his work to look at what they did differently and how they influenced movies going forward. Cabaret was one of the first films that Bob Fosse directed, and it uses the musical scenes really intelligently. Rather than just being entertaining songs, they also serve a thematic purpose to the story, with the tone of the songs of the cabaret opposing the scenes of the world of 30s Germany, with hate rising and becoming more accepted because of the rise of the Nazi Party. This contrast is made clear through the editing of the film, something that's notably great in Bob Fosse's films. The film will show an emotionally charged, nuanced scene involving a social conflict in Germany, and once the scene ends, it'll cut to inside the cabaret with a song that's mindless entertainment meant to distract people from the reality that is happening around them. This isn't to say that the songs of Cabaret are bad. They're good songs and they accomplish their thematic purpose in the film, but they are purely entertaining songs. They don't talk about social issues or serve to spread awareness about the issues in Germany at the time, but rather to distract from them. Although it is expected for a musical to have good songs and for them to advance the themes of the musical, the way Cabaret does this is so interesting because at surface level, the songs aren't related to everything else, but when you look at it big picture, you see how the songs relate to the plot of the film by trying to intentionally distract from the horrors that are happening more subtly. This creative use of songs in musicals and the way they fit into the film to create more meaning is something that appears frequently in Bob Fosse's films and makes the musicals he works on feel more cohesive than just a film with music. Rather than being a set piece or an emotional climax, the songs in a Fosse musical are integral to the themes of the film. In 1975, Bob Fosse worked on the Broadway musical Chicago, which was then adapted into a film in 2002, going on to win 6 Oscars that year, including Best Picture. Although Bob Fosse didn't work on this film, his influence can be seen from the original musical that the film adapts, and some of Fosse's stylistic traits can be seen through the movie. Chicago uses songs just as well as Cabaret, but rather than opposing the tone of the non-musical segments, Chicago's musical scenes enhance the meaning of scenes by providing more context through what feels like a surreal dream sequence. This is especially clear with Richard Gere's lawyer character Billy Flynn. The musical numbers with Billy involve him spinning a story to portray Roxy Hart as innocent, and the way these scenes are edited cuts between the real world of Billy speaking to an audience and a surrealist dream world of Billy clearly manipulating the truth. When Billy and Roxy first talk to reporters, he controls everything she says, since the reporters are more likely to believe her than him. The surreal aspect of the song shows Billy controlling Roxy like she's a puppet, providing more detail to the moment than would be possible if just showing the real view of Roxy talking to reporters. Similarly, at the end, when Billy is arguing in court during the song Razzle Dazzle, he creates this incredible over-the-top story, and the surreal aspect creates this flashy imagery with backup dancers and lights to visually represent how grand his story is, while contrasting with the scenes of him talking in court, since it isn't obvious to the jury that they're being tricked. This effect is enhanced with the seamless editing that cuts between the real and surreal so rapidly that it looks like two sides of the same coin rather than two separate worlds or scenes. The use of music and editing here, staples of Bob Fosse's movies, pays respect to his work on the source material and creates an engaging form of storytelling that only a musical could pull off. All That Jazz keeps Bob Fosse's unique style, but it breaks the fourth wall in a way by being vaguely about Bob Fosse's life and his time working on adapting Chicago into a musical. The film is so great because of how it combines a traditional narrative with musical numbers and exciting editing. The musical scenes don't just feel like songs inserted into a movie, but completely make sense within the context of the film as the main character, Joe Gideon, is working on a musical, so the songs of this in-universe musical become the song for the film's musical aspects. These musical numbers are supported by a well-paced narrative that shows Joe Gideon getting overworked and overwhelmed, and the effect of this burnout has on his work and the bright musical scenes begins to bleed over into this serious psychological plotline, which is a fascinating tone shift. The whole film is brought together with the way it's edited, with really great montages that increase energy while also providing insight into the mind of Joe Gideon. The The editing structure is able to balance these two tonally different sides to Joe Gideon, the upbeat public-facing version and the behind-the-scenes burnt-out version, as well as dream sequences reminiscent of A Christmas Carol. The film creates this completely immersive feeling that totally pulls you into what's happening. It's a great film that's really interesting as a musical, and every element of the film is well done. It takes everything earlier in Fosse's career, mixes it together, and the end product is incredibly refined and incredibly fun. Bob Fosse's style is incredibly unique and raises musicals from just songs in a movie to the songs being an incredibly important part of the film's style, no different from editing and camera work. This prioritization of the musical aspects of these films creates so much spectacle because starting a musical number is like stepping into another world, rich with visual splendor, great music, and amazing plot development. Each of these films that Bob Fosse influenced gives so much attention to the musical sequences while also making them flow perfectly with the narrative. Some musical films, like Phantom of the Opera, feature musical numbers that are entirely separate from the narrative, but Bob Fosse's musical scenes fit perfectly into the narrative and enhance the meaning of the story while also providing musical spectacle. Even though Bob Fosse's musical style is so amazing, there are tons of other great musicals, so be sure to let me know your favorite in the comments. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for new videos every other Thursday.